United We Listen is a podcast of United Way of Franklin County in Pennsylvania. Our podcast is intended to provide information and entertainment, not direct medical or financial advice. We recognize that there are many providers in our community that are available to you for resources and guidance. We hope this brings you information that is helpful in your life. If you find our podcast helpful, please like, share, or subscribe, or better yet, make a donation to United Way of Franklin County to help expand our work. Welcome to United We Listen, a new podcast by United Way of Franklin County,
located in beautiful South Central Pennsylvania,
bringing you into the heart of our community's most pressing issues to provide a place where together we can really tune in and listen to people. I'm Amy Hicks.
And I'm Kelly Fraser. Each episode, we're here to connect, listen, and learn alongside you.
We'll explore topics like early education, health, and economic realities, all through the lens of those closest to the issues.
We'll hear from local experts and change makers who are working to make a difference right here in Franklin County.
Join us as we dig deep into important conversations, because when we listen, we grow stronger together. Welcome. You're with United Way of Franklin County, and this is United We Listen, our podcast. We're here because it's an opportunity to talk about topics that matter to people in our community. They're topics that matter to us, and we can bring in members of the local community that have a lot of experience and knowledge related to these topics. So today, we're talking about nutrition. I'm your host, Amy Hicks. With me is Kelly Fraser, and we're really happy to introduce Heidi Lucas. She is a health educator with Keystone Health, and we have lots of questions for Heidi about how to plan healthy meals and try to improve the health of our families through better nutrition. So welcome, Heidi.
Thank you, Amy.
Can you tell us a little bit about your background? What drew you to nutrition and the work you're doing?
Wow. Okay, so I have been a dietitian for 30 years. Have always been very interested. As a teenager, I was an athlete here in Chambersburg and grew up a swimmer. And way back when I was a teenager, I learned that if I ate properly, it affected how I could swim in the water. So from that very start, we had dietitian and nutritionists coming in and teaching us about protein and how it was important to eat properly so that we could perform better in the water. So I have always just enjoyed how food affects your body. So with that, I've become very excited about educating and seeing other persons change how they eat and how it affects their health and their ability to just be healthier and feel better, sleep better, eat better, and just be more healthy all around.
Well, let's start with sort of a general topic. What does healthy eating mean for the modern family?
Well, it's hard. In 2025, it is so much harder than when it was, say, in 2000 or 1990s. It's become very difficult, primarily because our food quality is not the best. And if you don't know what you're eating, you don't realize it's affecting your body and your family until you start having some health concerns. So it's kind of interesting that you got to think about what you're putting in your body and how your body will react to the food you're eating.
I guess there's a question. How do you think about food?
Well, I try to think of my body as a machine. That's the easiest way for me to explain it to somebody I'm trying to teach nutrition. Think of your body as a car. If you don't put the right gasoline in, or you try to put water in your gas tank or dirt in your gas tank, it's not going to run. Your body's very similar. If you don't put the food and the nutrients that it needs in, it's not going to run as well as what it would if you put high quality foods in.
Makes sense.
It does. Now, as somebody who's probably tried half a dozen diets, read a lot of conflicting information about food, trying to figure out what's the right thing to eat and how to get started, what are some of the basics I need to know?
Probably the basics are, if it's easy, it's probably not the best for you.
Well, that's not fair.
I know. So, but the basics are we need to get back to the way we used to eat. And everybody's health is not all your fault. And I think us as Americans need to realize that. It's not all of our fault that we are all overweight and obese. It's a lot of what's in our food supply. And thankfully, I believe and hope and pray that the government is working on this for many, many years. I want to say at least 10 years. Things have been placed in our food that truly aren't allowed in other countries. And our food quality is a lot worse than anywhere else in the world right now. So I think we're trying to make it better. But with that being said, you have to eat. You cannot live on this earth without eating. So making the best choices that you can that are within your budget and your ability to know what is good and what is not good is huge. But the better quality, the better your body will be.
So, I've been a mom for a long time with a family on the run all the time. How do I even start? It's so overwhelming. What would you do for a family that just is thinking we need to eat healthier than we are? What do we do now?
Come together and support each other. That is the biggest thing. Have a family meeting. As much as I just loved those family meetings as a child, it's huge. I mean, you need the support. You need to support each other. You need to have a common goal and sit down, and the whole family needs to be involved. Gone are the days where mom is doing all the cooking and dad's doing all the running, or single parents. It's hard. But, having the whole group involved is huge, and supporting one another is even larger.
How do I even begin that conversation so let's say I'm a mom. I've been watching the trends in my family. I love the activity level, but I don't love necessarily where everything's going. How do you get the family on board?
Well, you can sit down and just say, you could talk about maybe a doctor's visit you had where maybe the doctor's saying, Amy, you need to walk more. Amy, you need to think about what you're putting in your body because your cholesterol level might be a little high, or Amy, your blood pressure might be a little too high. That's where a good opportunity to sit down and say, you know what? Mom's having some health concerns. I need us all to get on board, and we're all going to get healthy, and we're going to all learn this together because that will help us get to where we need to be a healthier family.
So then that's great because it's not exactly projecting it on that it's their problem. It's my problem and I need help.
Yeah.
But getting everybody on board gets everybody moving the right direction.
Correct. And one thing we all need to remember as a society is that children are watching the older adults. They're watching you. And whether we know it or not, children are watching what mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt, and uncle are doing. Even our neighbors who are just as much as our family, they're watching. And we're teaching them by how we act and how our health is.
It's funny you say that because I remember as a kid, sometimes, I spent a lot of time at a friend's house down the block, and a lot of times what was in their kitchen was a whole lot more interesting, I thought, than what was in my kitchen. And so you're right. Neighbors and friends have a huge impact.
Right. I mean, I wasn't allowed to have all of the sugary junk, but I would love to go to grandma's where I was allowed. So everybody's seeing, the food, but we just got to make good choices, and we got to come together as a family as a whole. So, yeah.
Yep.
Do you have any tips or advice on maybe how to talk about sugary foods or unhealthy foods with children or teenagers who because you don't want to say a food's bad per se, but how do you build that relationship around food so that they have a good relationship with food long term?
Well, it's a process, first of all. Their sugar addiction is definitely a true thing. Some people might talk about sugar addiction and laugh, but it truly is. What happens when we eat anything that's high in carbohydrate or high in sugar, our bodies will crave more, because what happens is our pancreas shoots out all kinds of insulin, and it needs more sugar and carbohydrate to absorb all that insulin. One of the labs that they are constantly checking in the doctor's office is your insulin levels. That's telling us how much insulin your body is producing and producing to break down sugars. So it need to be very, very careful. Best thing I would say is learn what your protein foods are. Protein foods are primarily your meat, your fish, your chicken, eggs, beans. So it doesn't have to be meat. Plant-based is getting more and more attention in that you're healthier if it's plant-based. But that doesn't mean that you need to give up meat. Okay, some people choose to, some people don't. And that's fine. It's your choice. But trying to have protein at every single meal will help you to not have those sugar cravings as much as you should, or much as we do. So
now, we were just talking about this before we got started. I know when I was in school, and I know Amy was told about it, called the food pyramid. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Supposed to eat, right?
and is there a new guideline that they're teaching kids in school? Or
is that even a valid tool anymore? Yeah. What do we do with the pyramid?
Yeah. Well, I say we throw the pyramid in the trash can, but I'm not sure if it's being taught in the schools anymore. But the food guide pyramid is from 1990 to begin with, and then I think it was revised in 1995. So we're talking 30 years old. One thing that we need to think about is the food guide pyramid has carbohydrates on the very bottom, and the very bottom of the pyramid is what we're supposed to eat the most of. Here in America, we carb ourselves to death, which is your bottom part of your pyramid. So in a way, the pyramid does have its place in that the bottom of the pyramid is 6 to 11 servings a day. But do you know most Americans might have 6 to 11 servings just in their breakfast? I mean, you have a bowl of cereal that's probably 3 times what it should be, plus some of the milk, which even though that is dairy, it has 12 grams of carb in it. Then you have maybe a piece of toast and then a glass of juice. Let me see, 1, 2, 3. There's 6 grams. There's 6 sources of carbohydrate right there. So what we really need to do is think. I try to teach the persons I work with to look at your plate. Okay, before you start devouring your food, where is your protein on that plate? So a much better breakfast might be some eggs, or it might be a little bit of meat if you want meat. Anything can fit into there, but it doesn't need to be our traditional American breakfast of nothing but carb.
I used to carb load.
I did too.
Because I was a runner in high school.
Yeah.
And like plate of spaghetti before track meet.
And that's a whole different situation. But yeah, I did that too as a swimmer. We were totally carb loading the night before. And, but as Americans, we don't need that anymore because there's carbs everywhere we turn around. So, but anyway.
So that's good to know. So the food pyramid, maybe shove that to the side.
Yeah.
And we'll think about proteins instead. How about dairy? Like, how does the dairy fit into a healthy diet? Does it fit into a healthy diet?
I think dairy fits into a healthy. A lot of persons feel that they do not tolerate dairy and will end up drinking the non-plant-based dairies such as oat milk, soy milk,
the
almond milk. Thank you. I couldn't think of almond.
Coconut.
Yes, yeah, coconut milks. Yeah. One thing you need to be aware of, though, so these milks are very processed. Okay. One thing that we are finding is that the big thing with dairy was all of the hormones that they were giving to the cows to keep the milks, and those things are not being used as much because they really did realize that they weren't good for us. Dairy as a whole is kind of mixed. Some people say it causes inflammation all through your body, some people don't. But ultimately, if you can tolerate dairy, I say go ahead and eat it or drink it in moderation and use it in moderation. But you don't necessarily need skim milk. Low-fat milk is just fine. One thing that we do need to recognize is that vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. So a little bit of fat is going to allow your vitamin D to be better utilized by your body. So skim milk is not going to allow that vitamin D to survive unless it's synthetic. So we want a little bit of fat in our diet, especially in the dairy side of it.
What about the whole milk? Is that too much?
Whole milk, truly, it's just all saturated. So whole milk is truly 4% fat. So that doesn't sound like very much, but I think the problem is that it is saturated fat. I don't see the big issue with it as much as what others do.
I've noticed, and we'll come maybe around to organics later, but something that surprised me, if I buy organic milk, it seems like it's lasting on in my fridge longer than what my regular milk was. Why would that be?
Because it's ultra pasteurized, so it's spun a little bit longer and it's taken to a higher temperature.
Oh,
so yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out how to create patterns so that we can eat healthy, how to get it done, and how to buy for it. Like, that's a whole other thing. When you're looking at meat and you're looking at trying to buy the right things, fruits and vegetables, how do you buy for it so that you're not throwing away a ton of things later that you didn't get around to eating?
Yeah, I think probably the best thing I would suggest would be planning. And I know that takes time, but it doesn't take as much time if you plan to plan. How's that sound? Probably the first thing I would start with is at your family meeting, have each person tell you what their favorite recipe is. Make a family recipe book, and it doesn't have to be hard. I mean, it can truly be, pull it up on Google, yeah, this looks good, let's print it out. Let's make a family recipe book. From there, decide what you're having for this week, okay? Make a little extra. On those busy, crazy days, it's easy to just grab something out of the refrigerator that's already made. Have something that you can eat cold sometimes. Have the foods that you need to be healthy in your house. Okay, if you have some healthy snacks, nuts are very, very healthy. Okay, they are incredibly healthy. Have foods that, fruits and vegetables if you like fruits and vegetables. But just remember, if you don't have it in your house, you're not going to eat it. So you got to have those kind of things at least. Pick a fruit of the week or a vegetable of the week. And the whole family, works really hard to eat that one fruit and that one vegetable for the week.
From time to time, we've tried to do a purge at our house to get the bad stuff out. Of course, we wind up craving some of that later, but is that something you recommend at the beginning of making a change, or is the purge actually counterproductive? I've been curious about that.
So you want to get bad stuff out of your house?
Well, like the processed, the potato chips, the chocolate, things like that. Like, do I need to get them out of sight, out of mind, or should I maybe not approach it that way?
What I would do is I would find one healthy food product. First of all, you want to be healthy in small steps. You do not want to probably do the great purge and then put all healthy foods. Number one, you're going to crave it. So it takes about 14 days for your body to have, your taste buds will die and new ones will be created. So your taste buds are in your tongue, okay? So you're going to crave different things 14 days after you start eating differently, okay? So I would add one food item at a time. So maybe we're only at Tuesday, but let's say this weekend, we decide on a healthy food that we're going to try next week. Maybe it will be chicken piccata. That sounds really hard, but let's just do a breaded chicken of some type. But you're going to actually buy the real panko, okay? That's couple dollars at Aldi. You're gonna make you're gonna have some eggs or some kind of a something to hold the bread to the chicken, and you're gonna slice your chicken down, and you're gonna make chicken strips. Those can be eaten cold. Those can be eaten hot, and then just play around with it. But as a family, you need to plan and think about what you want to make. But I would do small changes. Large changes are going to cause you just to, have headaches and have incredible cravings. So you want to do small things and add things slowly, but know what's healthy and don't buy the bad things again. Just like, okay, next time we're going to buy this.
So one step at a time, really. And small changes, little bit by little bit.
Okay. Gone are the days of diet. We don't diet anymore. We just change our lifestyle. No more diet. Dieting is not good. It just one diet after another. There's no quick fix, but making little changes and making lifestyle changes is where you get the best results.
Now, can you take us, let's go to the grocery store. So if we're all shopping together, where should we be focusing our shopping trip? Where are the best places to shop? What are the aisles to avoid?
Oh, and I'm on a budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
Help us with that.
Okay, so first of all, you want to think about the healthiest foods are going to be in the outside of your grocery store. So just walking through a local grocery store in my head, you're going to walk in the door, and most likely you're going to enter the fruits and vegetables section, because that's usually the first one. Most of those foods are cold, okay? Then you might end up in the meat section, where of course those are cold. Then you're going to probably end up in the dairy, the cheese, the bakery, and all of that, okay? So everything on that outside of that grocery store is not in a box. It needs refrigeration, or it's going to go bad, okay? So one thing I want you to think about is food that is sitting on the inside of your grocery store where it does not need refrigeration. Why is it able to sit there? Why is it able to sit there for a year or two and still be okay for you to eat? It's because it contains preservatives that's keeping that food safe for you to eat. One thing you need to recognize is that some of those preservatives our bodies can't digest. Our bodies can't allow them to be absorbed because we don't have the right genetic makeup to allow them to be absorbed. So either they stay in our gastrointestinal tract or our GI tract, or they are removed through our urine and our stool and not ever getting absorbed. So you're not getting any of the nutrients that you think you're getting from those food items because they're not being absorbed.
Now, I know that we all see at the store fat-free, sugar-free, low carb, healthy. Can you talk about
zero sugar?
Zero sugar.
Yes. Are those actually good for you?
Okay, so let's talk artificial sweeteners first. Okay, artificial sweeteners have been in the news a lot. Okay, the artificial sweeteners, specifically NutraSweet or aspartame, Splenda or sucralose, and Equal, which is sorry, I don't have all the names right in my head here, but the NutraSweet, the Splenda, and the Equal, those are not, they're artificial, okay, and they are about 500 times more sweet than a typical little granule of sugar, okay. Our bodies are struggling with these, and they're finding increased cancer, they're finding brain tumors, they're finding all kinds of problems associated with these artificial sweeteners. Now, where it is crazy is because it is so much sweeter than a piece of sugar. When our bodies eat that, our pancreas gets a message from our brain, and mainly from our taste buds, which are on our tongue, that, hey, something super sweet is coming your way. Make sure you have lots of insulin to shoot out. So what happens is your pancreas releases all this insulin, and the artificial sugar granule gets there, and it's not real. So there's all this insulin floating around in your body, and then all of a sudden your brain sends down another your message goes from your pancreas to your brain. Hey, that sugar never got here. I need you to have an incredible craving for something sweet to absorb all this insulin I just ate.
Oh my goodness.
So therefore, when you're coming out of a supermarket or a quick stop, you usually will see somebody with a Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi, and a bag of chips. That's because it is a chemical reaction in your body that cannot happen unless you have something to absorb all that insulin. So
it's like a traffic jam in your body.
Totally. It's the start of the sugar cycle.
Huh.
And there's no way that your body can get out of that. So artificial sweeteners, as much, and if you read about them, the artificial sweeteners they actually may cause weight gain on the bottom of them. So be very careful. A lot of us are doing this because we want to lose weight or we don't want those extra calories, but it just puts us into this crazy craving cycle.
Can we talk a little bit about diabetes and obesity? Talking about the sugar piece. There's so much conversation in the media about it, and it's a frightening topic. So, what are common sense things I can do with my family to make sure we're not on track for the whole obesity cycle, or if we're already there, how do we cut it back? And then the diabetes piece, how do we avoid it? Because it sounds like it's almost inevitable for a lot of families now.
It is hard. But one things that we need to remember is that diabetes comes on later in life. Why does diabetes come on later in life? And we'll talk about children here in a second with it too. But typically, years past, diabetes came on as you aged. What happens to a person as they age? Okay, so as a child, we are full of youthful muscle. We are running around, we are playing, we are running up and down, we're a ball full of energy. But as we get older, we sit more. So our youthful muscles turn into fat, okay? As we get more and more fat, especially in our abdominal area, the insulin that our body is shooting out to break down the carbohydrate or the sugars that we're eating cannot get to it. And it just kind of bounces off of our fat cells. Okay. So one thing that we need to do, and first of all, is really pay attention to our body. As we start to see ourselves gaining weight, as we start to see, our bodies changing, which they do naturally as we age, we got to, go out for that walk. We've got to, we're so blessed in a way to have all this tech stuff. We can watch a YouTube video on chair exercises or aerobics or
as long as we're doing it, not just watching the video.
Correct. Yeah, we got to get up and do it. Yeah, our eyeballs aren't going to burn anything. But going back to the family. We can have our children do it right beside us. Now we've got to do just as much as they do, but
or more because they're competitive.
Yeah. So, but we just got to get out of our sedentary lifestyle because a little bit of exercise, and it does not need to be 45 minutes at the local gym paying this amount of money every month. It doesn't need to be that. Walking up and down the street. Walking around the children's baseball field while they're practicing, going out for a walk while they're doing whatever sport they're doing or whatever art class they're doing or whatever drama class they're doing is going to help us more in the end than sitting there on our phone, checking on emails and doing that. We got to get back to being active. I mean, I know probably in my most healthiest part of my life as an adult, I would constantly think, the first thing I would think about is okay, I got this crazy busy day. When am I going to find 10 minutes that I can do something? And it doesn't need to be going out for a run or hitting the treadmill. It can just be raising your arms up and down while you watch TV. That is activity. Your heart rate is a lot faster moving your arms up and down than what it was just sitting there with your phone in your hand. So we just gotta be, responsible for our bodies, because I say this to everybody about eating, but you are responsible for the food you put in your mouth, and you are responsible for the activity that you put in your body. It's a machine. You got to work it. Don't let it get rusty.
So muscle is key.
Muscle is key.
What
Plus,
about, so on that topic, what about like supplements or things that are supposed to build the muscle?
protein goes a lot further.
Okay.
Okay. Some of those supplements out there are not, there's not a lot of approval with supplements. So don't go look for the quick fix. Go back to the healthy lifestyle, small changes. Okay. Having a hard boiled egg, if you eat eggs, is a lot cheaper and a lot better for you because, first of all, your body's going to recognize food before it recognizes some kind of supplement.
So, can we talk a little bit more about meal planning? I think that was something you talked about as, maybe not the most fun thing to do, but if we could get the meal plan down and actually execute on it, which takes a little time, maybe we can gain a little ground here. What do I do if I want to plan my meals for the week? But I mean, we've picked my favorite meals here. I've got a couple of proteins. Maybe I know I want to buy chicken. Maybe I want to make sure I buy and use hamburger. What do I do with them? Like, how much, not exactly how much do I buy, but how do I buy it to save a little as I'm doing it? Because it's expensive. And then what can I get out of it?
Okay, first off, you want variety. Okay, so let's say you decide you want chicken and ground beef next week. Okay, what is something that your family might like? Okay, so some things that come to my mind. Chicken quesadillas sound good to me. Chicken with maybe some kind of potato and vegetable might be nice one day. How about chicken enchiladas? So beef, I instantly went to tacos, but then one day you could have a taco salad, okay? Because, or you could, if you don't flavor your meat when you're cooking it, maybe save some of it for some spaghetti or something to that. But remember, you want lots and lots of protein and smaller amounts of carbohydrate. So when you have that spaghetti, really load up on that meat sauce and has less noodles. Okay, when you have that taco salad, have a huge pile of lettuce and all your toppings like salsa and a little bit of cheese and beans and some meat. And then, so there's some easy, quick, pretty inexpensive meals, but buy your food and don't come home and throw it in the refrigerator. Get your fruit washed, get your veggies washed, get your meat prepped. Make it a day activity, not necessarily, I went to the grocery store and I'll deal with this tomorrow. Because all that time, it can sit in there and tomorrow will be another busy day that you might not have time to do all that.
So get the meat prepped, maybe get it cooked for the different purposes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to marinate. Chicken's a great way to marinate. You can marinate things very easily with a little bit of olive oil, maybe some vinegar if you want vinegar, some garlic powder, salt, pepper, whatever herbs you like. Herbs are a great way to throw things in, and they're cheap. I mean, you can get some parsley for 97 cents at the local grocery store. So, find ways to use the fresh things that are in our life.
So one purchase, multiple uses. Mm-hmm. I like that.
Get the value pack things. Yeah. Try to get creative.
Mm-hmm. And beans are still cheap. So if you like beans, they're very good for you.
Now, so you mentioned beans. Canned beans, canned vegetables versus frozen vegetables versus fresh.
Bags.
Yeah. What are frozen vegetables okay? Because I know my family kind of live off those because it's nice to just have to throw together if we're running.
Frozen vegetables are very good. Canned vegetables, I would try to use a little less. Now, if that's all you have, that's fine. But unfortunately, canned vegetables are very porous, and canned vegetables sit in water. So the whole time they are sitting in that can, there is a chemical reaction occurring, and some of the vitamins in your vegetable is coming out into that water. So you might not get as many vitamins and minerals from canned vegetables as you do frozen. There's nothing wrong with frozen. They are blanched. They are full of nutrients, sometimes more than fresh, because when we add pesticides and such, we're losing a lot of some of the nutrients there too. So, Frozen there's nothing wrong with frozen. I would go do that in a heartbeat.
Pesticides. That takes us down a rabbit hole.
Whole nother rabbit hole.
So, I know I've been looking more at buying organic to try to avoid pesticides, which, like, I don't see pesticides. I don't smell pesticides. Do I really need to be buying organic and it's expensive? How do I go about that? I sound really cheap, but I think about it. Like, how do I go about buying organics without breaking my entire food budget?
Okay. So some organic is not necessary. It's very simple. If you're peeling the fruit and it has a very thick peel, you don't need to buy the organic of that. So bananas are not necessarily necessary to buy an organic. Oranges, okay? But things that are better to buy in organic are called our dirty dozen, okay? And those are things like the strawberries and the blackberries and the blueberries, okay? The reason for them is because we can't peel them, okay? And they are very porous. Like a strawberry, if you let it sit in water for 20 minutes, it kind of disintegrates. So just think when somebody puts a pesticide on that, it's going deep into that strawberry. So if you can buy something without the pesticides of the dirty dozen, which are a couple were strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, grapes are on there.
Peaches, unfortunately.
Peaches, pears, and apples. The reason for those is because we eat the peel. And it's very hard to get these pesticides off. There are a lot of washes out there. It will take some of them off, but unfortunately, some of the pesticides are getting a little harder to remove, and some are even not removed at all. So we can scrub and do everything, but some of the foods it's just better to buy organic.
Now, you also mentioned, because we were talking about this a little before we got the show going, buying local.
Yes.
Like that makes, it really does make a difference. And we do live in peach and apple country. We're very fortunate that way.
Yeah, we are very, very blessed to live where we live, in that we have so many farmers markets. We have so many fields still, thank God. So, yes, we are very blessed, and we're helping the farmers by buying from them. But yes, they don't have, you're not going to find apples with an inch thick of wax in our local orchards and such. So just really thinking that through and trying to help our local farmers. We're getting a lot healthier for ourselves, and we're helping local, which is a great thing.
Now, to transition a little bit, I'm sure that there's people sitting and listening and thinking, well, I would love to buy organic, but when I look at the price, I can't. I have to consider the price. So what would you say to families that are trying to evaluate the cost of buying organic, and even families that might be accessing food pantries or using WIC? What are some strategies so that you can still purchase the organic produce that's going to be the healthiest for your family, but not blowing your budget?
Correct. Yeah. So I would say any assistance you can get, use it. Okay, the times are hard. Food is expensive. I mean, we all are there. But use your food pantries. And they're getting better at the foods that they carry now. Like there are some that carry meats now. There are some that carry eggs. Cold foods are best. So be picky about what you get there. If you have WIC, use that to get your milk and your cheese and all of the items that you can get on WIC. And also use the food pantries. They have beans. They have lots of beans. They have canned tuna, canned chicken. Use those things. Just rinse them. Anything that's coming out of a can, please rinse it, okay? Because you're rinsing some of those preservatives away, and you're also rinsing some of the salt away. And then that hopefully will give you a little extra money that you can buy the better quality foods, okay? Just be careful with some of the very processed foods that are just simple sugars. They will cause you just to want more and more and more of them. So think it through and just really put what's good in your body to the best of your ability.
Heidi, if I am actually able to implement this and get it going, how do we make it stick? What works for the families that actually make it stick long term?
Supporting each other, truly. Um, there's a lot of families out there that don't support each other, and they struggle, okay? But really working with each other and telling your children, hey, mommy's trying to get healthy. Can you just, if you see me eating that big chocolate donut, say, mommy, is that really what we need right now? But then you have to turn it on them too. If they want to eat a box of Little Debbie's, is this really what we need right now? Okay, because that's just going to be more desire to eat more Little Debbie's and chocolate donuts. Okay, occasional is not going to hurt you. Okay, I as a dietitian and a nutritionist, the biggest thing is eating 80% of the time healthy. 20% of the time you can do what you need to do. Okay.
Yes.
But yeah, it doesn't have to be 100%, but trying to keep yourself to that is the most important thing.
Oh, you just reminded me of another thing, like chocolate. Because sometimes you'll hear that chocolate's good for you. And so what's the deal with chocolate? Can I eat chocolate because it's good for me?
If you like dark chocolate. Dark chocolate is a very high antioxidant. So that includes, even peppermint patties, okay? They are dark chocolate, okay? So, but milk chocolate is loaded in saturated fat, I'm so sorry, and tons of sugar. So if you like the dark, go ahead. Just be careful with the milk chocolate. Sorry to burst your bubble.
No, it's okay.
But if you slowly but surely switch it to dark chocolate, you won't have those milk chocolate cravings anymore because you're losing that sugar.
That's good advice. So I think we've covered a lot of ground. There's a lot of information that you gave us. And as maybe someone sitting there listening and they're like, this is all wonderful, but where do I start? What's the most important thing to start with to build these healthy habits? What would you tell that family? What's the most important thing to start with?
I would just make one change, okay? And then slowly but surely, once you conquer that. So what I usually work with anybody that I'm seeing in the office, I will say, I would suggest you start with food quality, okay? There is a nice little app. It's called Yuka, Yuka, and it is free. And it will help you to see if your food contains preservatives or not. Okay, that's where I would start. After that, after you start getting some quality foods in your house and are actually enjoying some of them, I would start working on your portion sizes. Okay, here in America, our portion sizes are much larger than we think they are. For instance, back in 1995, a piece of pizza was 250 calories. One slice of pizza in 2025 is 500 calories. So if you eat 3 slices of pizza, which I know a lot of my kids could once do, that's 1,500 calories.
That's a whole day.
That is what you should be eating in a whole day.
Wow.
So then we wonder why, we are a little bit chunky. But anyway, I would start with quality, then hit the portions. Really try to figure out how many calories you might be eating in a day. And then from there, I would work on making sure you're drinking enough. Okay, water is best, but there's a lot of people out there that don't like the flavor of water. So don't be afraid to take some blackberries or strawberries and smash them all up and put them in your water and make a flavored water that's really natural. And then, make sure you're moving enough. Okay. If you're not moving enough, it's time for the family to go out and play soccer or football. Football season's coming. Go out for a walk. Play together in the pool. Play with the hose. Play with the dog. If your dog's overweight, then you probably need to be walking him too. So, so just make small changes. And, with time, you're going to start to feel more energy, but pay attention to how you're feeling. If you suddenly can walk up the stairs and not be winded, that's success. If you can wake up in the morning and not have a headache, that's success. If your joints don't hurt or your legs aren't swollen, that's success. Look at how your body's reacting and decide what's successful, not the number on the scale. That scale is just a number. How your body's working is telling whether you're succeeding or not.
That's awesome. And that's encouraging, too. Get rid of these little aches and pains. Heidi, thank you so much for all of this. We covered a lot of ground. We could probably cover more, so maybe we'll have another conversation down the line. This was Heidi Lucas. She's a health educator with Keystone Health. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Sure. Thank you for having me. This was fun. So thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to United We Listen. If you heard things today that make a difference in your life, or if you think will make a difference for our community, please consider making a donation to United Way of Franklin County. You can visit us on the website at www.uwfcpa.org. This podcast is for information and entertainment purposes. Before making financial or medical decisions, please consult a professional you trust. If you like our content, please like, share, or subscribe, or consider a donation to United Way of Franklin County. Look for a link to our website on the platform you are using to listen.